The Poland Trail Committee was founded back in 2012 at the direction of the Poland Rec Department. We work in conjunction with the Conservation Commission to help preserve land, build trails, and to provide recreational and educational opportunities for the community at large. In the last 7 years, we've created 3 functioning trail systems here in the town of Poland. We have the Bragdon Hill Conservation Area, the Heart of Poland Conservation Area, and the one we're going to talk about here today, Waterhouse Brook. Waterhouse Brook Trail is a 1.7 mile single loop trail system that winds through forested woodland owned by the town of Poland and the Pine Grove Cemetery Corporation. Although the trails have been in place for a number of years, we've just recently started to upgrade them. We've added signs, created trail maps, and input a kiosk directly in front of the Poland Fire and Rescue Building. Probably the most rewarding portion of the Waterhouse Brook project for me has been the Naturalist Survey. I've been an amateur naturalist almost all my life, and it's been very exciting getting down here and seeing what types of plants, birds, animals, mammals we have running around. And it's hopefully going to build into something where we can be utilizing it for an informational source for the local schools and for the community at large. I've been collecting data down here and been able to identify probably 20 different species of large mammal, everything from otter and coyote to fox and bobcat, and also to identify 40 different species of birds so far since I started that process about a year or so ago. One of the things that's really neat about the Naturalist Survey down here at Waterhouse Brook is that I've been able to use game cameras like this one here to monitor the animals that live here. And I've been able to pin down a couple of locations that are really drawing in wildlife. Back in 2017, I started to look seriously for otter, knowing that the habitat was something that should be supporting otter. But I was unable to find anything. I wasn't able to find any otter slides or any indications that they were even coming out onto the banks for haul-outs or any of the marking stations. So I started talking to some people and telling them I should be finding otter, but I'm not seeing it. And probably 2 weeks later, I came across an otter latrine. I've been able to place a game camera on that otter latrine and to monitor that spot for quite a while. And one of the things that really stood out to me was how often other animals were utilizing that same area. In that area, I've actually captured on my game camera 14 different species of mammals, and it's been very unusual to see the interactions that occur there. There's been some really neat behavior, and I'm going to share a lot of it with you in this video. So. This is footage from a first game camera set that I did over the otter latrine I had found at Waterhouse Brook. This, I believe, is a female, and she's preparing a den area. There's a small hole there, and she's been scent marking along the edge and also gathering debris and bringing it into the den. I'd hoped that she would stay on and raise some pups in that den, but for some reason, whether the water levels raised too high or some other reason, she decided to move on. So the vast majority of the videos I'm getting from this game camera set have to do with the otter scent marking. They do this all along their route that they take through their territory. They will make spots as they go along, and they will gather up mounds of vegetation, and they will both urinate and defecate on those mounds. They will also use their glands that are located in the plantar pads on their rear feet. So when you see this, what a lot of people like to call the river otter potty dance, that part of the marking is occurring. It's giving scent directly from the feet, as well as the secreted spraints and also the urine that they leave behind. This communicates a bunch of different things to the other otters, and by putting it up high on a mound, it allows it to be carried more effectively by the wind. When they do this type of stuff, a lot of times it's underneath large white pine or hemlock, and they do that mainly, I believe, because it's a good sheltered area from the rain, and it helps to maintain the scent longer than it normally would be under any other type of forest canopy. Now this next series of clips is an interaction between a fisher and a couple of red foxes. I believe this is probably a territorial dispute. They red foxes have sort of claimed this area, and they don't want this fisher in here. And they sort of move him around a little bit. And there's a little bit of a dispute and interaction, some aggressive growling that occurs in this particular clip here. As you can see, the fisher leaves, and then a couple of seconds later it's followed by a red fox, and then there's some growling. Shortly thereafter, on a separate camera, the fisher is leaving the scene. It is then followed again shortly thereafter by the red fox, sort of escorting it out of the territory. So the red fox use this area on a fairly regular basis. There's a route that they travel that passes along the banks of the brook, and they do this pretty much all winter long. There's also a log here that crosses the brook, and it's one of the few natural bridges that the animals are able to utilize to get from one side of the brook to the other. So they travel over that an awful lot. Now later on in this video cycle, you're going to see that there are two foxes traveling together, and this is a mated pair that they've mated up for the season, and they are traveling together and defending a territory. In fact, later on towards the end, there's a clip of them both running after something, which I believe is probably one of our gray foxes that they're trying to get out of their territory. Now this clip here and the following one is going to be showing a little bit of that log crossing that I was talking about. These were shot back in 2018. I had the camera set to show this log crossing because so many animals are using it. These next clips are showing the mated pair traveling together that I had mentioned earlier. So I was really excited when I started to pick up eastern coyote on my game camera. Coyotes are notoriously skittish about game cameras, and you'll see there's a situation in here where one of the coyotes becomes aware of the camera and runs off. But it didn't take very long for them to come back, and just like most of the animals, they're coming into this area, they're investigating all the different scents that are here at this otter latrine.
so many different animals come through this area that, of course, it becomes sort of like a community meeting post, and everybody comes in to investigate. So it was really exciting to see this pair that once again, similar to the foxes, are traveling together because they're mated, and they are wandering through this area. Nearby at the time there was a deer carcass, so there was a lot of different carnivores coming through that weren't always showing up on the game camera. But usually these guys are nothing but eyeballs in the distance, and it was neat to have them come in and to see some of the things that they were doing. These next few clips are interesting to me because they show a little bit about how animals interact with their scent marking communication. And one of the things that the coyotes do a lot of, and it happens on other people's game camera sets as well, is coyotes like to overmark like this one is doing here now. And they'll come through and they'll find a spot where one animal has marked its scent, and they'll leave their own mark behind. And this is fairly common with different animals. This next series of clips was really exciting for me when I got to see it for the first time on the game cameras, because it showed some really neat behavior in rolling in the scent station, but also the interaction between these two coyotes. It's kind of neat to see this, and something that we don't get to see on a very regular basis with our own eyes, so utilizing a game camera in this way has been really helpful. Being able to watch the raccoons that we have here at Waterhouse Brook using game cameras has been really interesting. They tend to be mischievous, just like you would expect from raccoons, and they do all kinds of crazy stuff. There's a group of 5 once that I saw go down inside a porcupine den, and they had been visiting the den over and over and over again. They would wait until the porcupine was gone, and they would go inside his den, then they would come back out. A couple hours later the porcupine would come back, and he would be agitated by the fact that they'd been there. He would scent mark and go back inside. And it really seemed to me like they were just doing it for fun. I'm sure that it was food related, but it was kind of funny to watch anyways. And it's this group here. They have this one in it that I call One-Eyed Jack, which is this one right here in the foreground. You can see his one eye is bad, and it doesn't reflect the infrared on the game cameras. So they're here doing all kinds of different things, and it's kind of neat to see them. There's even a short section at the end of this clip where they're actually swimming across the water, which is something a lot of people don't get to see very often, but they're pretty good swimmers. They're here feeding on crayfish and mussels and other things here in the brook, so it's really neat to see them when they show up on the camera. It's always something fun to watch. Research into scent marking behavior in animals has really been aided by game cameras, and it's because there was a lot of this stuff that we didn't understand, and we still don't comprehend everything that is occurring when an animal is scent marking. And they've been able to discover a lot of really interesting things utilizing game cameras and seeing different versions of scent marking. And one of the things that came out of it was in California, they actually discovered that a lot of times gray foxes were rolling in scent locations that cougars had marked, and they are thinking that part of the reason the animals are doing this is they're trying to pick up the scent of the cougar and smell bigger than they are. If a little gray fox can run around smelling like a cougar as he's walking through the woods, they think it would be something that would be really beneficial and help to keep him from being attacked by other predators. So in these clips you can see animals are scent marking here at Waterhouse Brook, and there's a couple of times, like this squirrel here now is reacting to the scent marks of the raccoons, and they all communicate one with another, not sure exactly what it is that they're getting from that, who's around or where they've been, what they feed on. And it's a wonderful area of research that's just starting out, and it's kind of neat to see, like, as you can see with this otter, everything is an exploration with the nose when it comes to these scent stations. And they're going to look things over, they're going to get the information that they need, and then they're going to either overmark or move on. So it's really kind of neat, and it's something that I really enjoy seeing. This next couple of clips show the red fox exploring the otter latrine. Both the coyote and the river otter have marked this area, and if you notice, the behavior that this red fox is displaying is very similar to what the coyote was doing.
As you can see, there's a lot going on out here at Waterhouse Brook, and there's lots of different animal species that probably most people don't know exist right here in the center of Poland. So I would encourage you to get out here and check the area out for yourself. Grab the binoculars and come out and enjoy some birding, or get the camera and do some photography. Take a hike or with your kids and just enjoy the area.